Seems like I'm doing that a lot. Does that mean I'm getting lazy? My hair isn't even dry yet. I just got out of bed. I was reading my phone in bed. I told Dennis, I'm going to stay in bed all day and read my phone. Is that okay? He's like, sure. I said, you don't have any plans for me? No. He was in bed reading his phone too. So it was a companionable read. Cheers. I zapped my leftover coffee from yesterday. And I made it too hot. And it's not very good. So I don't know how long this will last because I need coffee. Of course, he did give me a coffee in bed. He makes me an Americano. But I was in that twilight sleep this morning. I was, figuring out the logistics of dusting my Christmas tree because the almost unanimous advice on comments, which, well, I will grant you, are very few people who, might possibly really care, saying I should just keep the tree up and just dust it. So I'm trying to figure out how to dust it. I mean, it is so dusty that I don't really want to just try to dust it in place because I'm not even sure. I want to bring it out here and shake it out, So I'm trying to figure out how to get it outside without breaking anything. So I'm working that out. I think I'll just take off the breakable ornaments and then bring everything out here. I might be able to bring it through the sliding glass doors, but I'm not sure. Anyway, that's what was occupying my mind, my half mind and my half twilight sleep this morning. I had a really, really lovely day yesterday, and when I was going to bed, I realized that I had crafted all day. After I finished my vlog yesterday, I said I was going to be sitting right there and knitting, and I did that. It was absolutely stunningly beautiful all day. And I sat out here for quite some time working on Christy's shawl. I put in the first row of beads, and then I realized that, it's a little hard to figure out how everything lines up, but I realized that I had to be off by a row because it just didn't make any sense where the beads were. And when I looked at the charts again, I realized I was correct. I was off by a row. And if they had been white beads, I'm not so sure I would have gone back and done anything about it, because the thought of tearing back my beaded knitting was a little bit daunting. But since they are blue, I decided I had to go back. So luckily I had put in a lifeline, and here's where I am at the moment. I had put in a lifeline right before I started that section, and so I tore it back to my lifeline, and I don't know if you can see my lifeline, but it's right there, and started over. So Dennis walked out here with me just as I'm tearing it, and I'm like, I can't talk. I gotta get this back on the needles. Knitting off the needles never is good. So I had to redo, there you go. I had to redo row number 1. So I've really done 4 rows of beads in my mind. And of course, row number 1 had the fewest number of beads. But you can see how they line up now. Yeah. So I was off by 1 stitch, and I'm not sure how that happened, but anyway, I'm back on track. But these rows take a very long time for me to knit. I'm using the dental floss method of adding beads. I can see that I probably would like to use a tiny little crochet hook better, but I don't have one. I tried to buy one. Nobody wanted to sell me one. Well, they didn't have them. They would have sold me one if they had them. So I'm using the dental floss, which is relatively tedious, but also, anyway, so I was sitting out here. It was beautiful. I was working on this, and it was time to walk the dogs. So we went out to walk the dogs and noticed that the neighbors across the street were sealing their driveway, which means that they were putting tar all over it. And so when I got back to sit outside, I was smelling tar. So it was no longer nearly as lovely on my deck. I was out here for a little while, and then I realized I was kind of getting a little bit of a headache, and so I went back in the house. And when I got in the house, I had finished 2 rows, which meant I did row 1 twice. So I felt like I had, you know. Anyway, I was trying to do the math and figured out that if I continue at the rate I was going, we would be in big trouble. I think the blue is looking really cute. And actually this pattern doesn't have tons of rows with beads on it. I mean, I'm in a beaded panel, as you can see, and there are 3 more rows of beads that mirror these 3 rows. And so I will be doing those today. But then there really aren't tons of beads in this. I may be adding more beads at the end just because it feels like maybe not even enough beads. When you do a contrasting color of bead, it sort of, I don't know, feels like it may not be enough. I'm not sure, whatever, anyway. So I knit on this a lot yesterday, and I don't know if you can see that, but I have a lifeline. I put a lifeline in after the 3rd row of beads. I'm like, I am not re-knitting those beads. I am not re-knitting those beads. So I have a lifeline to go, and I have this mirror of this panel, and it's going to be lovely, and I'm really excited about it. But the thing that was so exciting last night was, so I went in the house, I had dinner, whatever, talked to Dennis and all that stuff, and I picked up my blanket, and I crocheted 2.5 rows on my blanket. I did 2 rows of the undyed yarn and another half a row, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I crafted all day yesterday, which is the first time in, I cannot tell you. And it was getting a little bit late, but I had only had 2 rows of beads, and I thought, let me just do 1 more row of beads. Let me get further. I think it took an hour for me sitting in my chair. The other thing that happened when I was sitting out here on the deck was my back started to ache because I was kind of hunched over and doing it over the table, and I'm not even sure why. I mean, they're not the best chairs. And I was out here quite a while. So I said, let me try it in my chair. It was tedious, and it felt like it took forever. But I got a 3rd row in, and I'm very excited about that. So hopefully I will get more rows today. I'm not promising I'll get 3 rows, but if I don't have to redo a row, that would be nice. And I don't know if you can tell, but I did a row of, the first row is blue, then I did teal, and I don't know if you can see that color. I can't on my screen, maybe you can. And then I did another row of blue. I think I'm going to mirror the colors going back. I think that is not going to be noticeable that I use the teal versus the blue, because the blue beads are a mix of different kinds of beads, and so I don't think it's going to be obvious that I did that, but it's going to be beautiful, and I hope she likes it. I'm sure she will. But I love the feel of the yarn. I'm really happy with how it's turning out, and she will look lovely in it, and it's my wedding gift to her. So I will be finished with it, I completely promise. But I haven't done anything. Well, and then I worked on my blanket. So basically, I actually, crafted all day yesterday. For the first time, I can't even tell you. I did pick up my Michelangelo book that I told you was overdue. I renewed all my books, but I owe $1.25 on that book, because I didn't go on my computer 3 days ago or whatever. I don't know how much they charge. I guess I was probably overdue almost a week. But anyway, there weren't very many sketches in it. Not nearly as many sketches as I thought there were, or the reason I took that book out. So I didn't do any sketching. I just worked on my blanket, and I worked on my shawl, and I'm really tickled with it. I can't tell which side's the front now. I think I've been showing you the front. So anyway, that's what happened yesterday, but I realized as I was going to bed that, oh my gosh, I worked all day on my crafting, and it felt so nice. It felt so nice. So maybe it's possible that this shawl project is going to help me with my mojo. It could happen. Anyway, so there you go. There's where I am. Maybe, oh, you can really see the pattern. Maybe tomorrow I will show you my blankie that I'm working on. So my plan for today is, I mean, heck, it's already late. Oh, and now my battery's low because I sat there and worked on my phone this morning. And and I've been talking for a little while, so it's enough. So today is going to be another quiet day. Takes me a long time to recover from having family for a week. That's all right. I'm retired. I have the time to do it. So I'm gonna just work on my shawl. And it's supposed to be pretty nice today, but not sunny. So there's clouds. It's not sunny, but it's comfortable. And so I probably will sit out here for a while and work on this and then head inside. I can still hear our cicadas. I can hear some birds. It's not nearly as windy as yesterday. So it's kind of nice out here, even without the sun. So that's the story. That's the story, Morning Glories. I will be back tomorrow, and maybe I will have put in 3 more rows of beads. If that's true, then I will have made good progress. The next panel also has beads, but very few. So, and then a couple panels with no beads. So it'll be interesting to see how this works out with the blue beads. If there might not even be enough beads in this pattern to justify the blue beads being a real element. But I don't think there'll be a detraction, so I'm just going to keep going with it. And I did see a place where I could add more beads in the lower tiers, which of course are way longer and could mean lots and lots of beads. So I might keep my eye open for crochet hook that will work. I will definitely put some of these beads in my purse so that if I end up at Joann's or Michael's, I will have the beads with me so I can test to make sure that the crochet hook is small enough. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, I will say goodbye. Please take good care of yourselves. And, oh, my girls just walked out here with me. Please be careful. Please, please stay safe. Stay safe and stay safe.